Morning all, how the devil is it going? Well, it's a fine day to whinge about Keith Vaz, isn't it? The little sweaty, baldy oxygen thief. I like whinging about him. I was going to leave this to Ian Dale because LBC has got a lot more subscribers than me, and I did listen to this a couple of weeks ago. I was going to leave it at that. It is absolutely scandalous, but then Sargon released a video about it yesterday, and it was just a bit too nice. He's a very sensible chap, and he's got a big audience, but he just seemed to be a little bit too... I think Sargon, he's successful and he's popular and he does this for a living. Me, I'm just a chippy northern bastard with a proper job, and I don't have to worry about monetization or sponsorship or any of that type of shenanigans, so I can say what people are really thinking. I'm going to play you what Sargon got annoyed about, rightfully so. I'm going to play some of the things that he didn't cover, and I'm going to tell you the actual facts about this horrible, greasy, sexual deviant shitbag that has now retired after 30 years on the public tit doing less work than the fucking ship's cat. Let's get going, shall we?
That there are probably 10,000 modern slaves in Leicester.
10,000?
10,000.
Yes, you heard that right. There are at least 10,000 fucking slaves. We know they're modern. They're not getting raped in a tin shed and picking cotton, but they are sewing fucking cotton and working in partially demolished, condemned factories in fucking rubble and living 90 to a bedroom or in caravans and just basically being treated like animals, and nobody does anything about it. Because, well, we know why.
10,000. There's probably 200, 250 of these sweatshops. They're located in large former industrial buildings that were sort of for large companies who've pulled out of Leicester decades ago, such as the Imperial Typewriter Factory, the Dunlop Building, and they've been broken up into multiple units with very little health and safety, fire regulations. And what I've discovered is that the City Council don't inspect them. And when you ask them why, they say, well, we never get any complaints from those buildings. One of them is located right next to a police station. The slaves must walk by the police station twice a day at least. And it was...
Oh yeah, they walk past the police station twice a day. We all know they do. I remember the book Easy Meat when that came out after the grooming gang scandal. There's a bit in there that says a copper turns up at like some well-known dogging spot, and he's there, and there's two Muslim blokes in a car with a little kid getting down to it, and the copper pulls over, taps on the window and says, "What's going on?" And the bloke winds the window down and says, "She's sucking me off, mate," and laughs. And the copper just shakes his head and drives off. That's what we're dealing with. You can think that's hyperbole if you don't believe me and you haven't read the book, but look at the facts. There was the systematic rape, torture, full-blown torture, dousing them in petrol, branding them, torturing them, raping and torturing and trafficking children, not even grown women, children, for 3 decades, and nobody did anything about it at all. It was covered up by the state, covered up by politicians, covered up by the police. And you think, if you're a sceptical lefty fuckwit like Owen fucking Jones, you might be sitting there thinking, nah, Booty's talking shit. This Bootneck's just being hyperbolic. No, it's a proven fact. Open your fucking eyes. If you don't think it's happening, give your fucking head a good shake. Shake it till your eyeballs are looking at your testicles because they've fallen out of your fucking skull. It happens. I can pull up 1,000 different cases where this went on for decades and nobody knows anything new. And nobody did anything about it. And you think slavery isn't a thing in Leicester? You think that'll get dealt with? The industrial rape and torture of children, that won't get dealt with, but a bit of slavery will? Give your fucking head a shake.
It's very, very clear that locally it was an open secret in Leicester. Everybody knew about it.
Not even an open secret, just open. Open. You know, all the working class, the white working class lads will be going to the pub round there and going, fucking hell, it's shocking seeing another 10 slaves today. We know it. You know it. I know it. Everyone who lives around there knows. Everyone. And they did nothing about it. Because the people doing it happen to have a tan. That's why.
I would point out that all the factories are located in the constituency of Leicester East, which is also the hotspot of where the virus has flared up in Leicester. And anyone saying that there's not a link between those working conditions, the poverty wages, and the fact that Leicester's in a lockdown, I mean, that just doesn't add up. If you're on...
No, you have to be a maniac to think otherwise. Short version, the reason there's this the reimposition of lockdowns, the reason it's spreading so much is because, funny old thing, they don't follow health and safety regulations. Funny old thing, they don't get issued masks. Funny old thing, when you ram 50 fucking slaves into one 2-bedroom semi, funny old thing, the virus spreads.
£3.50 an hour, working in an overcrowded environment, and the internet retailers that 90% of the factories in Leicester work for have actually had a bonanza during lockdown, because what the government policy has actually done is put their physical retailer competitors out of business. So if you wanted to buy clothes or needed to buy clothes during the lockdown, you've had to go on...
There you go, and it's destroyed all those small businesses as well, because they can't compete price-wise. They're selling on eBay and Amazon, and all the digital retailers can't compete at all. Because if you're a legitimate, hard-working small businessman and you're paying your people the correct rate, how can you compete? Your products will cost 3 times as much, because they're using slaves and nobody's doing anything about it. Because, well, I'll get to that. I'll get to the meat of why no one's doing anything about it very, very shortly. And I'll give you a clue. It's because of the little fat poison dwarf I mentioned earlier.
Onto the internet. So they've got increased by about 50%. So they put pressure on their workers to work through the COVID lockdown, even when they're ill. And let's face it, if you're an illegal worker and it's £3.50 an hour cash in hand, the choice for you is work or starve. That's the alternative. And at £3.50 an hour, your listeners can only imagine the accommodation that these people can afford to live in Leicester. So you're talking about 15 to 20 people living in a terraced house that is really...
£3.50 an hour. So unless you're living in Middlesbrough, at which point you can become the fucking mayor and buy a street, yeah, that's absolutely disgraceful, and you probably won't barely be able to eat.
Thought to be suitable for 4 people nowadays. So you've got overcrowded, no PPE, no ventilation, no heating, no cooling in the factories, very, very busy over lockdown, and then returning to a house which isn't multiple occupancy, it's over occupancy, hugely overcrowded. So you're talking about mattresses on the floor. That is an absolute recipe for spreading the virus, and that's why we've got this problem in that.
Yeah, living like animals. Funny old thing, slave traders, they don't provide their slaves with good accommodation. I mean, they might not chain them to a fence outside like they used to, but it's unlikely they've got a fucking memory foam mattress.
Leicester. And I told Matt Hancock and Pritti Patel when the figures for Leicester came out, I said, you will not sort this virus flare-up out in Leicester until we sort out the slave sweatshops.
Yep, told them. And what's Pritti doing about it? Well, look, on Twitter today, what's she doing? I'm sorry you faced awful racist abuse, David Lammy. That's what she's doing. She's busy talking to a race-baiting, far-left communist about how bad it is that people are being mean to him. Unbelievable. Like, again, I'm not cool with racism. That's the tenet of English conservatism, because we take people as individuals. You're born and raised in England, and you fucking vote Tory. What do I care what colour your skin is? It's not about that. But, let's have it said, racism is just crass, unfunny name-calling. It's calling people names. And I don't care about calling people names. If you want to knock yourselves out, lads, go in the comments, call me a fucking scruffy, northern, knuckle-dragging, shit-gibbon, all you like. Knock yourselves out, boys. I can take it. That's name-calling. That's racism. Get a fucking grip. Tell them to fuck off and get on with your life. But David Lammy, being a professional victim, does it every chance he gets, and now Pritti Patel's on there, virtue signalling, instead of... She's not fixing the slavery issue, she's fucking virtue signalling with a communist. I mean, I had great hopes for Pritti, but she seems to be as much of a wet blanket as every other bastard.
So when you originally had these people approach you, you did your research, who did you approach then, and why has nothing happened about it since?
Well, these are questions that, I'm going to be giving a day of evidence tomorrow to the National Crime Agency of everything I've collated over the years.
This was weeks ago, so yeah, loads happened. Loads happened. Nobody even heard about it.
I actually went to the Home Office. I went to the Modern Slavery Unit, and I presented my evidence for more than 3 hours to their officers. I introduced some of my whistleblowers and handed those over, and I followed what was going on, and it was clear that nothing was happening. I then raised it in Parliament.
3 hours, whistleblowers, evidence, the full shebang, nothing. Nothing. Just like, oh, cheers, mate. You might as well hand it to me, and I go, cheers, mate, in the bin. Like, just put the bin next to your foot, and then the second he passes you it, cheers, mate, fuck off. Talk shit for 3 hours while I'm on my phone, and then I'm binning this, because it would be politically incorrect to stop fucking brown people trafficking humans. Yeah? Slavery's only a problem when Johnny fucking white man's doing it. If anyone else is doing it, fuck it. Fuck it. Let people get tortured. Let people suffer. Let people live in chains. As long as Whitey's not doing it, fuck him. That's Pritti Patel's attitude. And I mean, again, compared to the current glut, she's better than everybody else, isn't she? I'm not sticking up for Labour here, or the Lib Dems, or the SNP. Those three would be even worse. But Pritti Patel has been piss weak on it, and it's embarrassing.
In January, in Bay's questions, and I had a meeting following that with ministers and the then Secretary of State, and I explained to them that, if you overlook the human aspect of the appalling treatment of these people, on the business side, the business model of these ruthless people has put legitimate businesses in the garment industry out.
Well, I said that earlier, but you know what? You should keep banging that drum. Because what our politicians have proven to us is they give a fuck about nothing other than coin. Coin they care about. The first thing a politician thinks when you talk about war is coin. They don't care about 10,000 working class lads getting their fucking arms and legs blown off. They care about coin. So if he's on the right track there, he should keep going on about the money. Maybe they'll do something about it. Because they clearly couldn't give a flying fuck if 100,000 kids get fisted by swarthy foreigners. I'm sure they don't give a flying fuck about slavery either. But maybe, just maybe, push the economic standpoint a lot more. Maybe they'll do something about it. Because all them fucking weasel, ratbag, shithouse scumbags that run this country care about is money. Fucking Diane Abbott, have you seen her expenses? She spent more money on fucking Cadbury's picnics in the last 10 years than I've spent on petrol.
To business, because they can't compete with slave conditions and slave wages. So, and I also raised the fact that I've uncovered that there's millions and millions of pounds worth of VAT fraud going on in this industry in Leicester.
Yeah, sensible. Keep going on about the money. The fraud. They don't care if you rape an old woman, you get 2 years in jail. But if you rip the fuckers off and you don't pay your VAT, they'll come down like a ton of bricks. Fuck you, pay me. That should be written on the... that should be what's written on the money. None of these nice poetic lines. Fuck you, pay me. Same in America. In God we trust. Nah. Fuck you, pay me. It should be the mantra of all our political institutions.
And that the slaves are being supplied with cash that's laundering money from the drug trade. So, Ian, there's nothing good about any of this. This is absolutely an appalling situation.
No, but I think my listeners are going to think, well, Andrew Bridgen is an MP. He's done what a responsible MP should do. He's reported all of his findings and given the evidence to the different authorities, and nothing's happened. So he can't get any action done.
Ian, they gorilla fucked children for decades and nothing happened. What? How much of a fucking piss-weak, whiny, fucking girly man have you got to be sitting there going, ooh, I'm amazed. What do you mean? Have you not paid attention? They let them fuck kids and they don't do anything about it, and you think they're going to act because of what? VAT? If they will let them torture and rape children, they will let them do anything. My tongue was firmly in my cheek when I'm talking about money. That's all they care about, money. But they're not going to do anything, are they? They're not going to do anything. If they sign up for allowing little children the most monstrous crime, isn't it? Someone like Ian Huntley, he's a lot more despised than like Peter Sutcliffe, even though they both killed people, because the former was killing children. We all think children are precious because they're innocent. Fuck me. The only time in your life that's good's when you're a kid, isn't it? I was happy as fuck when I was 8. Because when you're 8, you don't care about anything, and then all of a sudden you get to like 20 and you start reading newspapers and you go, fuck me, I am surrounded by vermin. That's why people care about kids, because they're innocent and they should be protected, and you want to prolong that childhood as long as possible. And our leaders let them get tortured and fucked by sweaty foreigners, so of course they're not going to do anything about slavery, you silly bastard. Fuck me.
I mean, what?
Well, the difference is now.
What is anybody else going to do?
This difference is now that I have had a personal assurance from Pritti Patel that she's going to root this problem out, and well, I'm sure your listeners and the great British public are going to hold her to that commitment.
Yes, we fucking are. I'm rapidly losing patience with Pritti. She's given her word she's going to fix it. Let's see. If she turns a blind eye to this, she's a brown woman. She doesn't tick any of the boxes. They can't call her a straight white cis-het patriarchal scum. She's got an advantage. Like I've said before, I've always thought you need a brown Muslim woman to be in charge, because at least they should prove immune to the race card. She should get it done. She's got the gender to get it done, and she's got the race card to get it done. So get it done, or we will haul you over the coals for it, and I will do everything I can to make sure you will not be elected to run a fucking lemonade stand. Sort it out, Pritti, you useless sack of rats.
And it's no good just raiding 10 factories in a building, because all they'll be doing is effectively creating vacancies for another load of people trafficking and illegal migrants to come in and take those jobs. This is a huge problem, and I imagine the first job you've got to do is assess the size of the problem, and I can assure your listeners it's endemic across the industries of Leicester East. And I would point out who was the MP there for 33 years until...
Here's the rub, ladies and gents. Leicester East is as red as Santa's bell end. Leicester East has been red since 1987, and it has never ever changed. So here's the rub, as usual.
December the 12th last year.
Keith Vaz.
The Right Honourable Keith Vaz, yes.
Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of that. He's just whinging about Keith Vaz. Let me tell you, this is the rub, right? Keith Vaz, this fucking worm, Cue Ball the oxygen thief. Cue Ball the oxygen thief, right? He is a living, breathing lavatory. He is a walking youth hostel. He is just a fucking human scum. We've just discussed how everyone in the entire city knows that slavery's been endemic for years. And this fucking walking abortion was in charge of Leicester from 1987 to 2019. 30 odd years. He knew about it. He did nothing. Nothing. So I don't think I'm being hyperbolic there. I mean, I do joke a lot about politicians because I hate them all. Some of them are going to be alright, aren't they? But this man knew about it. He knew. He knew about trafficking, he knew about people trafficking, he knew about paedophilia, he knew about slavery, and he did nothing about it until the day he retired. Talk me off the ledge. You make a good argument for why it's unacceptable to call Keith Vaz human slime. Seriously. Like, I do joke, like I said, my tongue's in my cheek when I'm calling them all scum. Some politicians are going to be alright, some politicians are going to be scum. It does depend on the individual. Same with anything else, race, sexuality, gender, whatever. Most of the time, we're having a laugh and we just label everyone. You don't mean it. I'm sure there's some decent Labour MPs out there. But Keith Vaz sat on slavery and paedophilia and rape and all the rest that goes along with it. And he did nothing for 30 fucking years. The man should be in prison. Keith Vaz should be in jail. He should be charged. You're complicit if you turn a blind eye to slavery. Complicit. Why is he not in fucking jail? Someone, give me an answer. As to his character, he also got done because he's a staggering hypocrite and he'll gob off about drugs and fucking gays and everything else, and then he gets caught bumming fucking rent boys and doing coke. This fucking oxygen thief. I despise the man. Buying coke for male sex workers whilst posing as a washing machine salesman. Yeah, so he was getting diddled by Romanian sex workers. So he's even involved in the trade. He doesn't want to stop it because he doesn't want more fucking rent boys to be coming over. What a fucking piece of shit. He got a 6-month ban for total disregard for the law over that. And that's not all. There's loads of shit about Keith Vaz. He's dirty to the core. In 1989, he famously promised Salman Rushdie his total support and said the fatwa against him was absolutely appalling, and then a fucking few weeks later led 1,000 Muslims through Leicester calling for his book to be banned. Do we not care about freedom of speech? Fucking hell. Book burning, Nazi shit. He was for that in England because he thought it'd help him win his next election. What a fucking worm. What next? 1990, IRA bombing attack. He suggested the army had explosives on the premises. Well, first of all, they're the fucking army. Of course they do. You think it's controversial if a soldier's got a rifle, you thick cunt. And secondly, false flag, right? How is he different from Alex fucking Jones there? The horrible, horrible cunt. Thirdly, Filkin inquiry, accepting thousands of pounds in bribes, which he didn't declare. Fucking scum. So he's took £1 million off the taxpayer over the last 30 years, but he wants to take bribes while he's at it because we don't pay them well enough, apparently. Fuck off. Hinduja affair, 2001. More fucking backdoor inquiries to get 2 Indian guys the fucking visas. Citizenship. Scum. He's just available at the highest fucking bid. He would sell his own mother for a tenner. The man is a worm. Got suspended in 2002 because he made false allegations against a policewoman. Fucking liar. So she knew what was going on with that citizenship shit, and then he just slurred the policewoman as well. Absolute vermin. In 2001, he assisted a billionaire to attempt to avoid extradition to France. Fucking Iraqi. It goes on and on and on. He campaigned against video game violence. Again, he's a rabid censor, just like when he was marching to get Salman Rushdie's book banned. I actually met Salman Rushdie, by the way, because I'm into literature. I went to see the guy in LA, asked him about Christopher Hitchens, and he told me he liked Bill Clinton. I was like, ugh, not so keen on you anymore, fatty. But anyway, just everything about Vaz's career, shocking. Everything he did, I hated. Campaigning against video games, like a fucking Baptist preacher. Blatant conflicts of interest over time. I mean, I don't even need to go on, do I? I've already pointed out about 10. The man has got no moral fibre at all. He's a human jellyfish. He's got no spine, no fucking courage, no integrity. Born liar, coke user, rent boy, fucking scum. His expenses were fucking 200 grand a year nearly in 2008, 2009, one of the highest in the entire country. Fucking hell. Switched his second home to buy furniture, just corrupt as fuck, robbing us all. Paid for lobbyists. Supported homeopathy even though you have to have the IQ of a pork pie to think it does anything. Christ almighty, I could go on all week. And then finally bumming fucking rent boys and doing drugs. The guy is, honestly, it's like satire. I could talk about him all day. What a fucking weasel, eh? What a weasel. And to top it all off, he did nothing about slavery. Cheers, Keith. The cunt should be in jail. Leicester needs fixing, and we all need to hold Pritti's feet to the fire. That's me. Let me know your thoughts. Please, someone attempt to tell me that I've got it all wrong and Keith is actually a splendid chap. I would fucking love to read some reasons behind that thinking. Thanks for listening. I'm now leaving because some cunt appears to be operating an angle grinder like there's a team of Mexicans trying to chop a lamppost in half outside my fucking house. So I'll see you guys later. Cheers.